All right, Chris Calixte, thanks for sitting with us today.
hmm
So, go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience. Tell us about your origins.
Chris Calixte, aspiring filmmaker, producer, screenwriter, director, all of the above. From South Florida originally, and just down here trying to make an impact in the industry.
Can you tell us a little bit about your education? Do you have a background in films?
Oh, not at all. My all my education from film actually came from everything on the internet and books. YouTube, pretty much getting involved in other filmmakers' projects, reading a lot of books. Honestly, when I went to college, I did not, go into film, and I had no aspirations of being a filmmaker until like my last year and a half in college. So that's pretty much what it was.
What exactly happened in college that put you down this road?
It was funny actually, cause I was out with a friend. Me and her was actually out, at an event, and during that time frame, I actually sent some pictures to some close family members or whatnot and some friends, and they always had, a good positive vibe off of the picture I sent them. And that's when they just put that bug in my ear saying I should try to get into film or whatnot and acting. And straight out of college, I jumped into it. I loved every bit of it. And as I actually got more into acting, I actually tried to explore more behind the scenes, aspirations. And then that's when I really fell in love with the whole behind the scenes aspects of filmmaking. So I kind of drifted away from acting and more onto the filmmaker side. So here I am.
Got you. Can you tell us how did you come up with the concept for Intuitions?
Um, Intuition was very unique. Intuition came about from four things actually. I remember that night specifically too. I was at the house, watching a movie like I am, I'm usually doing, and I had, liquor in my hand, so I'm drinking, and I was actually just got off the phone with with the girl I was dating at that time, so we, had an argument about trust issues and whatnot, and a few moments later, I got another argument with my mom, and before you know, I put those three or four experiences together, and then I'm the kind of person when I'm drinking, I get a lot of ideas. So I put all those things together, and then before I know it, I was like, you know what, this won't be a bad story. So I just started putting pen to paper, and that's how Intuition came to be.
So, are you the official writer of the story, or what's your official role with the movie?
I am the creator. I wrote the movie, and I financed the movie. I produced it.
Gotcha.
That's what it is.
How did you raise money to produce such a great film?
A lot of it came from my money from jobs, just saving up money. I tried to raise as much money as from family and friends, but you know how that goes sometimes. So when that fell through, I said, I'm going to take it upon myself to finance my entire film myself. And believe it or not, a little bit came from actually gambling. I used to play poker and blackjack trying to raise money, and then some of those actually came to
Right.
uh, help finance the movie. So it's kind of crazy.
Very, very interesting. Let's talk about the talent in the movie. You have a really interesting cast because most of the leads are actually pretty popular online. I know Julian, Ashley, and Liddell. They have a connection to that online series, True Friends or
Close friends, yeah.
Close Friends, and that's extremely popular, and that's also based down here in South Florida. Yeah. So, do you have a connection with them? How did you go about finding them?
It was weird. I think it was like I said, the whole process to me was like heaven sent. It was like none of it was going right, but every time something didn't go right, it just kind of realigned it, towards like a smooth transition. I knew a director years way ahead of time before I even thought about making Intuition, and that there was one day I'm driving back home, and I got a phone call from my cousin saying that they needed a judge for a college step show. So being that, I'm a member of, Greek letter organization, I agreed to it. And right in that same conversation, I was telling her about what I'm doing. I said, I need some actors. And then that's when she told me about the web series about Close Friends. So when I checked out the series on YouTube, that's when they just started actually, putting it out there. And it just so happens the person that was actually behind it and it kind of helped, created it and directed it was somebody that I actually knew. So I'm like, man, it's a small world. Maybe this is supposed to happen. And so I contacted them. They read the script. They fell in love with it. And it's just all downhill from there.
It's amazing. That's a great networking story. It seemed like it's always about who you know and socializing to make a lot of this come together. So, can you tell us a little bit about intuition?
Intuition. Intuition is a collection of a lot of people's relationship experiences. Intuition basically is about a relationship therapist. His name is David Francis, and he's actually trying to help a young man, which is played by Julian, and the character's name is Kenny Fredrickson. He's trying to help him, deal with his social issues, trust issues, and whatnot. And in the midst of all that process of going, being the fact that he's fresh out of jail, he doesn't realize that his patient is actually having an affair with his fiancée. So it's almost like, not practicing what you preach. And, the movie has a lot of twists and turns to it. And you'll see that in some form or whatnot, that the patient is actually giving the doctor a lesson. So that's how crazy it is.
What would you say makes your film unique?
What makes my film unique? I feel like it touches every group out there, every person, no matter what ethnic group you're part of. And the fact that it gives you content that not only that you're familiar with, but it's gonna have some twists and turns that you definitely wouldn't think was gonna happen. And basically, you're gonna see a film that a lot of people can just gravitate to. So it's it's gonna touch you definitely.
Got you. Now, I know in the movie, you have Liddell. He plays the therapist, and Kenny is at first he seems very much against the therapy. He doesn't want to open up to the doctor, and I can't help but think like this is true even in real life in African American culture. There always seems to be this stigma towards therapy and mental health. Is this something that you took note of and that's why you wrote it in, or how do you feel about that?
I don't know. Actually, that's really, really true. A lot of African Americans feel that if you're trying to get into therapy, that there's something wrong with you, when that's definitely not the case. But when I was writing this script, I wanted to make it seem as though, well, not really seem as trying to fake it out, but just really give you that extra side that there's some people who really have trust issues. And if you have this, somewhat similar of a background that Kenny does, you're not going to be so open to just anybody, especially being released from prison, considering what he's gone through. So at that aspect, I felt that, that was just natural to his character, some of the experiences that he's gone through. And being the fact that a lot of people in every relationship, they're going to be kind of guarded in some way about their own, I guess you could say vulnerabilities, their intimate feelings or whatnot. So you're going to be kind of guarded about what you really want to say to some people when you meet somebody or whatnot. And that's what everybody can relate to, because when you meet somebody that you kind of have the connection with, you might like them, but you're really not going to say everything that you really want to say, or you're going to be very cautious about trying to get too deep into your intimate side, so to speak.
I noticed with the cinematography, like there was a lot of scenes that had a lot of deep blues, and there was also a lot of beautiful scenes, and the one that sticks out specifically is when Kenny's on the bus and he's and I've been on those buses. I've been on Broward buses, and it's not. You made it look amazing. You know what I'm saying? So, how important was the cinematography for the specific look of this movie?
To me, that was very important. I wanted to give you the feeling that he's going through it. I don't want it to be like, oh, this is some depressed movie there. It's just everybody feeling this melancholy kind of feeling. But I definitely wanted to give you that kind of feeling that, he's not really having the best of days. And believe it or not, like I said, through the grace of God, everything just like aligned straight up for us. Because I remember that day we were shooting, and it was raining that day specifically. And I was like, this is perfect, because the clouds are kind of gloomy. It's not, the birds aren't chirping right now, so it would be so beneficial for us to get this shot right here and there. So, you know, we kind of tapped into our guerrilla filmmaking side. We just hopped on a bus, you know, and just filmed that for a few minutes. And we made it happen. So the lighting of the environment outside played a huge part in that, making that happen.
Amazing. Let me ask you, what drives you? Like this being is this your first major project?
Yeah, definitely.
So what drives you? Because I know, especially in this industry, it's very hard for people to kind of believe in your vision, in the beginning. But you are one of the, select few to actually finish a product, put it out there, and it's already receiving a good reception. So what drives you when you're creating this art?
A lot of it just comes from, you know, your feeling. And it's just like music or anything else. If you have art, a lot of it has to just come from what you feel at that time. And don't be shy about putting it out there because you're definitely not gonna be the only person to go through that kind of feeling or whatnot. But what drives me, I just want to, truthfully, I don't want to be a statistic. You know, when I was in high school or whatnot, I wanted to be like everybody else from South Florida, you know, trying to be a football player or a track star. And unfortunately, you know, things didn't turn out so well. So when I had this aspiration of being a filmmaker, I said, I'm not going to be a statistic. I'm not going to be that guy who just say he wanted to do something and just things didn't pan out. So when I'm trying to, you know, get into this industry, I do a lot of my homework, you know, trying to figure out, you know, the people who've gone before me, what did they do, and what can I do, you know, to capitalize on any opportunities that I have. So I'm just trying to be, you know, that person who actually got into that exclusive club of saying that, hey, they actually made it, you know, got into the industry of film and made their dreams come true.
Got you. And my last question is, what would you say to someone who may have been where you were a year, 2 years ago, maybe thinking of this idea, but they don't even know how to start it? Like, what would you give? What advice would you give to them?
Pick up your cell phone and just Google. We're fortunate to be in an era where there's so many different resources out there for us. So you don't need to have a rich uncle or, you know, to be in a certain area just to tap into that industry. If you got a story and you got a cell phone or a computer or any kind of internet access, you can find out information on how to get it done. Simple like that. You know, I don't have a rich uncle, so I got a job and I started saving some money. I even went as far as trying to go to a casino and try to win some money.
Right.
But I think if you have the determination and the vision and a good story, then it's going to be downhill from there. That's all you need.
Thank you for sitting with us today.
No problem. Appreciate it.